Good morning, everyone. Today is a day of transformation. Today is the day we rise, break through, and embrace the incredible power that each of us holds deep within. I want you to understand something at the core of your being. The most powerful force in your life is your identity. Your identity shapes everything about you, how you see yourself, how you interact with the world, and how the world responds to you. But here's the thing. Too many people live their lives unconsciously. They let their past define them. They let their fears dictate their choices. They believe the stories that others have told them, and they wonder why they're stuck. But not today. Today, we take control of our identity. Today, we choose who we're going to become. Let's dive into 3 key points, the 3 essential shifts that will unlock the power of your identity. The idea that your identity drives your actions is both profound and transformative. If you want to change your life, you must first understand the power of the person you believe yourself to be. This idea goes far beyond the superficial or external circumstances that may seem to shape you. It's not just about the circumstances you find yourself in, the family you were born into, or the experiences you've gone through in the past. It's about the identity you've adopted, whether consciously or unconsciously, and how that identity directly influences everything you do. At the core of this concept is the simple truth that your actions are a direct reflection of how you view yourself. Think about it for a moment. Have you ever noticed that when you identify yourself as someone with certain qualities, whether positive or negative, those qualities seem to manifest in the choices you make? For example, if you identify yourself as someone who's hardworking, disciplined, or determined, your actions will naturally align with that belief. You'll show up for your goals, put in the effort, and pursue what you desire with a sense of purpose and commitment. On the other hand, if you've adopted the identity of someone who's incapable, unlucky, or destined to fail, your actions will inevitably follow that belief too. You might procrastinate, hesitate, or avoid taking risks. You'll make excuses, perhaps because deep down you don't feel deserving of success, or you've convinced yourself that failure is inevitable. This mindset becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, where your belief in your limitations directly influences the outcomes you achieve. It's not just that you fail because of external forces, you fail because your identity leads you to make choices that ensure failure. The most powerful and significant realization you can have is that your identity doesn't have to be static. It's not some unchangeable, rigid force. Your identity is shaped by your thoughts, your beliefs, and the narrative you tell yourself about who you are and what you're capable of. That's why the process of self-transformation begins by questioning and altering the identity you've attached to yourself. If you're willing to step outside of your old story and redefine who you are, you can unlock incredible new possibilities in your life. Consider how your identity influences the way you perceive challenges and setbacks. Someone with a resilient identity, someone who believes they are strong, resourceful, and adaptable, will approach difficulties with confidence. They won't shrink from obstacles. Instead, they'll face them head on, knowing that they have the power to overcome whatever stands in their way. Their identity as a resilient person compels them to look for solutions, to learn, and to grow from adversity. In contrast, someone with a fragile identity, someone who sees themselves as weak, unlucky, or incapable, may be more likely to shrink from challenges. They might feel defeated before they even begin because their identity tells them they're not strong enough to succeed. Their actions reflect that belief. They might avoid difficult situations, give up too soon, or settle for mediocrity because their internal narrative has already decided they're not cut out for greatness. It's easy to see, then, how powerful your identity can be in shaping the outcomes of your life. But how exactly does this work on a deeper level? To truly understand how your identity drives your actions, let's look at the neurological and psychological aspects behind this. First, there's the concept of the reticular activating system, RAS, in the brain. The RAS is a part of your brain that acts as a filter, determining which information gets your attention and which doesn't. Essentially, it's like a spotlight. It helps you focus on the things that align with your current beliefs and identity. So if you identify yourself as someone who is confident, the RAS will start to filter in information, experiences, and opportunities that reinforce this belief. You'll notice more moments when you feel confident and capable. And as a result, your actions will align with that perception of yourself. Conversely, if you identify as someone who is shy or anxious, your RAS will filter out opportunities for social interaction, and you'll avoid situations where you might need to take a risk or be assertive. In this way, the RAS helps reinforce your sense of self, continuously driving the actions you take based on the identity you've adopted. What's fascinating about this is that you can train your RAS to support the identity you desire. If you want to be someone who takes bold, confident actions, you must consistently choose to step into that identity. The more you act in alignment with this new identity, the more your brain will focus on opportunities that support it. Over time, this becomes a feedback loop. Your actions reinforce your identity, and your identity reinforces your actions. Another powerful tool that explains how identity shapes actions is the self-concept. Your self-concept is your internalized image of yourself, which is heavily influenced by your past experiences, how you were raised, and how others have treated you. This self-concept is essentially the foundation of your identity. If your self-concept is one of someone who is always trying and never quite succeeding, that belief will shape how you approach life. Your actions will be hesitant, cautious, and rooted in fear of failure. However, if you cultivate a self-concept of someone who is capable, ambitious, and deserving of success, your actions will reflect this. You'll take risks, seize opportunities, and believe that you can handle whatever challenges come your way. This is where the power of affirmations and visualization comes into play. By consistently reinforcing a new identity through powerful statements of belief and mentally picturing yourself as the person you want to become, you begin to rewire your self-concept. You begin to see yourself in a new light. Over time, this creates a shift in how you show up in the world, and more importantly, in how you take action. This isn't just wishful thinking, it's a proven psychological principle. When you act in alignment with a new identity, your mind begins to believe it's true, and your behaviors change accordingly. A clear example of this can be seen in the world of sports. Elite athletes often talk about how their mindset and self-belief were key factors in their success. They see themselves as winners, as people who are capable of pushing beyond their limits, and as individuals who can face pressure with composure. This identity drives their actions. They train harder, they push through pain, they rise to challenges because they believe that's who they are. They don't just see themselves as people trying to succeed, they see themselves as winners, and everything they do reflects that belief. It's crucial to understand that actions don't just follow from identity, they also reinforce identity. Every time you take an action that aligns with your desired identity, you prove to yourself that this new version of you is possible. Each success, no matter how small, solidifies your belief in your new identity. This is why it's so important to take consistent, aligned actions, even when you don't feel 100% confident yet. The act of doing something will eventually change your perception of yourself. You'll begin to internalize that you are capable, you are resourceful, and you are deserving of success. At the same time, when you consistently act out of alignment with your true potential, you reinforce an identity that keeps you stuck. If you believe you're someone who can't achieve your goals, and your actions reflect that belief, whether through procrastination, indecision, or giving up too easily, you will continue to create that same reality for yourself. The key, then, is to realize that identity is not just a passive description of who you are. It's a powerful driving force behind everything you do. If you want to change your actions, you must first change the way you view yourself. Start identifying with the person you want to become. Choose to see yourself as confident, capable, and worthy of success. And from there, allow your actions to follow suit. As you begin to align your actions with this new identity, you'll notice something extraordinary. The world around you will begin to reflect that change. Opportunities will appear where they didn't before. Relationships will evolve as people begin to see you in a new light. And most importantly, your own sense of self-worth will soar because you'll realize that you are in full control of the identity you adopt, and by extension, the actions that define your life. The concept that identity is a choice, not a fate, is one of the most empowering ideas you can embrace in life. Too often, people view their identity as something that's fixed, predetermined by the circumstances of their past, their upbringing, or the experiences they've had. They think of it as a destiny, something they're stuck with, something that's beyond their control. But what if I told you that your identity is not something that's cast in stone? What if I told you that you have the ability to create and redefine your identity at any moment? It's true, your identity is not a fate. It is, in fact, one of the most powerful choices you will ever make. Your identity is not dictated by the challenges you've faced, the mistakes you've made, or even the judgments others have passed on you. The power to shape who you are resides in your hands. It is entirely possible for anyone, no matter their background, no matter how far they think they've fallen, to choose a new identity, and with that choice, create a whole new life. The key lies in understanding that you are not bound by the past, nor are you defined by your circumstances. You are the architect of who you choose to become. You can decide who you are, regardless of the life you've lived up to this point. We live in a world where people are conditioned to think that their identity is shaped by external forces. From a young age, you're taught who you should be by your parents, teachers, friends, and society at large. You are influenced by the experiences and beliefs of the people around you. If you're told over and over again that you are a certain type of person, or if you experience a series of events that suggest you're limited or incapable, you begin to adopt these beliefs as truths. You internalize them, and they start to define who you are. This becomes your identity, the person who's always shy, the person who's not good at math, the person who can't succeed because of where they come from, or the person who's always been unlucky. But here's the truth. These are just stories. They're not facts. They're not the full picture of who you are, and they certainly don't have to dictate your future. What you must realize is that your past does not have to determine your future. And the identity you've been carrying up until now doesn't have to be the one you continue to carry forward. Your identity is not a preordained blueprint. It is something you can design, evolve, and change. The idea of choosing your identity over being subjected to fate is empowering because it puts the responsibility in your hands. Think about it. If identity were truly fate, if it were something you couldn't change, you'd be stuck with the same life, the same set of challenges, and the same set of beliefs forever. You'd be confined by a past that you can't alter. But in reality, your identity is much more fluid than that. It's flexible, and it's shaped by the beliefs you hold about yourself and the choices you make. This means you have the ability to shift your identity, to change the stories you've been telling yourself, and to redefine who you are at any point in your life. One of the most powerful ways to realize that identity is a choice is by understanding the idea of self-perception. The way you see yourself directly affects the way you show up in the world. If you see yourself as capable, resourceful, and deserving of success, you will take actions that reflect those beliefs. You will make decisions that align with your highest potential. However, if you see yourself as a failure or incapable of achieving great things, your actions will reflect that too. You will subconsciously avoid opportunities, procrastinate, or sabotage yourself because at a deep level, you don't believe you are worthy of success. Self-perception is one of the most influential forces that shape your identity. Your perception of who you are is constantly reinforced by your thoughts, actions, and interactions with others. It's an ongoing feedback loop. If you identify as someone who is successful, disciplined, and driven, your thoughts will center around those qualities. You will make choices based on that identity. And when you succeed, your belief in your abilities will be strengthened. This, in turn, will push you to continue acting in alignment with your chosen identity. Over time, this process becomes automatic. You don't have to think about it. Your identity will shape your reality in ways that feel effortless because it has become ingrained in your subconscious. The beautiful thing about this is that you can choose to shift your self-perception at any time. No matter how long you've been living with a certain identity, you have the power to change it. If you've been living under the belief that you're someone who can't succeed or someone who isn't capable, you can begin the process of rewiring your brain. You can start by consciously challenging those limiting beliefs and replacing them with empowering ones. When you start to see yourself in a new light, when you begin to identify as someone who is capable of achieving big things, your thoughts, behaviors, and results will start to reflect that new identity. It's also important to understand that your identity is not fixed in time. It's a dynamic, evolving process. Your identity can change over time as you grow and develop. In fact, as you encounter new experiences and new opportunities, your identity should evolve. The person you are today is not the person you were 10 years ago, nor should it be the person you will be 10 years from now. Every life experience, every success, and every failure contributes to the creation of your identity. The key is to stay open to the idea of change and growth, to not become so attached to one version of yourself that you resist the possibility of evolving into something even greater. Part of the process of choosing your identity is letting go of the past. Too often, people allow their past mistakes or failures to define who they are. They may have experienced hardship, rejection, or disappointment, and they start to believe that these experiences are a permanent part of their identity. But your past doesn't have to be a permanent label that defines you. Just because you failed at something before doesn't mean you are a failure. Just because you made mistakes doesn't mean you are a failure. In fact, those mistakes and failures are part of the journey towards success and growth. They don't define who you are. They simply help shape the person you choose to become. To truly embrace the idea that identity is a choice, you must be willing to step outside the confines of your old story. You must let go of the limitations and labels that have been placed on you, whether by others or by yourself. You must release the idea that who you were in the past is who you are destined to be in the future. The past is gone, and it no longer has the power to dictate who you are or what you are capable of. The future, however, is unwritten. It is a blank canvas, and you hold the brush. Choosing your identity also requires taking responsibility for your actions and choices. It's easy to blame circumstances, other people, or even fate for where you are in life. But the truth is, you are the one who is responsible for the way you show up in the world. The way you choose to think about yourself and the decisions you make each day are what create your reality. If you want to change your life, you must take ownership of the fact that your choices shape your identity. You are not a victim of fate, and you are not powerless to change your circumstances. You have the power to choose who you are and who you will become. At the heart of this idea is the power of empowerment. When you realize that your identity is not something that is fixed or predestined, you reclaim your power. You no longer have to live by the limitations of your past or the labels others have given you. You are free to choose the person you want to be, to act in alignment with your values, and to create a life that reflects the identity you choose. This shift is not just a mental exercise, it's a profound transformation that affects every area of your life. In the end, identity is a choice. You're not trapped by your past, your circumstances, or the opinions of others. You have the power to create a new identity, one that reflects your highest potential and your deepest aspirations. Every decision you make, every belief you adopt, and every action you take is an opportunity to shape the person you want to be. Embrace that power. Recognize that the choice is yours and that you have the ability to define your own identity and in doing so shape your own destiny. The concept that your identity creates your future is one of the most transformative ideas you can grasp. It's a radical shift in thinking, one that empowers you to recognize that the way you see yourself, the beliefs you hold about who you are, directly influences the trajectory of your life. Your future is not something that just happens to you. It is shaped by the person you believe yourself to be. Right now, the identity you carry today is the blueprint for everything you will become tomorrow. If you want to change your future, you must first change the way you see yourself. At its core, the idea that your identity creates your future speaks to the profound connection between self-perception and personal achievement. The beliefs you hold about yourself are not just casual thoughts. They are the driving force behind your decisions, your actions, and the results you experience. When you see yourself as capable, worthy, and deserving of success, your actions naturally reflect those beliefs. You begin to pursue opportunities that align with your highest potential. You act in ways that propel you forward, and as a result, your future unfolds in alignment with the identity you've embraced. On the flip side, if you see yourself as someone who is limited, incapable, or unworthy of success, your actions will be constrained by those beliefs, and your future will be shaped by those self-imposed limitations. The power of identity lies in its ability to create a self-fulfilling prophecy. Think about it. If you identify yourself as a person who is confident and capable, you are more likely to take bold, decisive action in the face of challenges. You'll believe that you can handle obstacles, that you can learn from failure, and that you are deserving of success. And as you act from that place of self-belief, you create a future that reflects those qualities. Opportunities open up to you, people respond to you with respect, and success becomes a natural outcome. This becomes a feedback loop. The more you see yourself as someone who can succeed, the more you will act in ways that reinforce that belief, and the more success you will experience. In contrast, if you identify as someone who is afraid of failure, someone who believes they are incapable or undeserving, your actions will reflect those beliefs as well. You might hold back from taking risks, procrastinate, or sabotage yourself because you don't believe you can achieve your goals. When you don't act in alignment with your true potential, your future is limited by the constraints of your identity. This is why it is so important to understand that your identity is not just a reflection of who you are right now, it's the foundation of who you will become. This idea is not some abstract concept. It is rooted in both psychology and neuroscience. When you adopt a certain identity, your brain begins to filter information through that lens. The reticular activating system, RAS, in your brain plays a significant role in this process. The RAS is responsible for determining what information gets attention and what is filtered out. Essentially, it's like a spotlight that highlights certain thoughts, experiences, and opportunities while ignoring others. If your identity is that of someone who is successful, the RAS will begin to highlight opportunities for success, the resources you need, and the people who can help you achieve your goals. If, on the other hand, your identity is that of someone who is stuck, unlucky, or incapable, the RAS will filter out the possibilities that would help you succeed, reinforcing the limitations you've placed on yourself. Your brain essentially becomes a mirror of your beliefs, filtering the world through the lens of your identity and shaping your future accordingly. Your identity also creates your future through your self-concept, the internal image you have of who you are. Your self-concept is shaped by your past experiences, but it also plays a role in determining your future. The way you see yourself has a direct impact on the choices you make and the actions you take. If you identify as a successful, driven person, you will make choices that align with that self-concept. You'll pursue opportunities, take calculated risks, and push yourself to grow. If, however, you see yourself as someone who is unworthy of success, you might settle for mediocrity, avoid challenges, or not push yourself to reach your full potential. This self-concept creates the future you will live because your actions are shaped by how you see yourself in relation to the world around you. One of the most powerful aspects of this process is that your identity is malleable. It's not something that's fixed or determined by your past. You are not locked into any one version of yourself. This is where the opportunity for transformation lies. If you want to create a future that is vastly different from your present, the first step is to start identifying with the person you want to become. You have to begin by seeing yourself as that person now, before the results show up. The future begins with the choices you make today, and those choices are based on the identity you choose to adopt. Changing your identity isn't an overnight process. It requires commitment, self-reflection, and a willingness to act in ways that are aligned with your desired identity. It also requires letting go of the limiting beliefs and stories that have been holding you back. You must stop identifying with the version of yourself that has been shaped by past failures, by the opinions of others, and by the mistakes you've made along the way. Instead, you must choose to identify with the person who embodies the qualities you want to cultivate, the person who is confident, capable, resourceful, and deserving of success. When you begin to act in alignment with that identity, you create a new reality for yourself. This process is not about pretending to be someone you're not. It's about stepping into a more authentic version of yourself, a version of yourself that is in line with your highest potential. It's about recognizing that who you are today is not a fixed point. It's a starting place, a foundation upon which you can build. You have the ability to shape your future by choosing to become the person you need to be to achieve your goals. The key is to act in accordance with that identity, even when you don't feel 100% ready, and trust that with each action, you will grow into the person you are meant to be. A great example of this in action can be seen in the stories of people who have experienced remarkable transformations. Take someone who has struggled with addiction, for instance. If they continue to identify as an addict, their future will be shaped by that belief. They might not believe they are capable of living a clean life, and as a result, they may continue to make choices that reinforce that identity. However, when they begin to shift their identity and see themselves as someone who is sober, strong, and in control of their life, their actions will change accordingly. They will begin to make decisions that align with their new identity. They will seek support. They will develop new habits, and they will take steps to distance themselves from the old patterns that held them back. Over time, this new identity creates a new future, a future where they are no longer defined by addiction, but by their strength, resilience, and capacity for change. Your identity has the power to shape not only your actions, but also your interactions with others. The way you perceive yourself determines how you show up in relationships, at work, and in every other aspect of your life. When you see yourself as someone who is confident and worthy, you will communicate with others in a way that reflects that belief. People will respond to you based on the energy you project. If you believe you are deserving of respect, success, and happiness, others will begin to treat you accordingly. Your identity influences how others perceive you, and their perception of you, in turn, creates new opportunities for your future. The key to understanding how identity creates your future is realizing that your actions are the bridge between who you are today and who you will become. Every choice you make, no matter how small, is a reflection of your identity, and those choices, compounded over time, create the life you will lead. If you want to create a different future, you must start by changing your identity, by choosing to see yourself as the person who has the power, the capabilities, and the drive to achieve the things you desire. When you embrace this truth, you realize that you are not a passive recipient of life's circumstances. You are an active creator of your destiny. If your identity today is the foundation of your future success, and when you shift that identity, you unlock the potential for limitless growth and achievement. So I challenge you today, rise to your true potential, step into the person you were always meant to be. Your future begins right now. Thank you. Let's go make it happen.